look at him loading up. You can see him powering up over there. It's about to go down.
Your Honor, may I? Thank you. Good morning, Ms. Roberts. How are you?
Good morning.
Under questioning by Mr. Brennan, you talked about the number of times or a number of times that you have spoken to the DA's office or some member of the DA's office. I'd like to ask you a couple of questions about that.
Sure.
How many times in total do you think you've spoken to a representative of the district attorney's office?
I don't have a number.
Would you say it's more than a dozen?
Yes.
Would you say it's more than 50?
Maybe around there.
She likes the
Maybe
number
less.
50.
And who are the folks, Ms. Roberts, that you have spoken to at the DA's office?
Steve Nelson,
Okay.
the victim advocate, Yuri Buchanan, who's a state police officer, and the DA, Michael Morrissey.
And what was the, I want to take those in order, and two of those are at the DA's office. One of those is not. Yuri Buchanan is not at the DA's office. He's actually a Massachusetts state police officer. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Let's take those in order. How many times would you say you've spoken to Mr. Nelson? Just if you can give me a thumbnail.
I don't know, maybe
A
30,
lot.
40.
Okay. Have you received what you would consider to be updates on the progress of the case? From Mr.
I would
Nelson?
ask questions, and he would give me very broad answers.
Okay. Were your questions ever prompted by conversations that you had with your friend, Miss McCabe, Jen McCabe?
Sometimes Jen would say, could you ask Steve this, because I had a rapport with Steve.
Okay. Were those conversations by text message or phone calls or both?
I would usually text him.
Okay. What about the conversation with, or conversations with Mr. Morrissey, the elected district attorney? What were the circumstances under which you contacted Mr. Morrissey?
She called the DA.
Well, during the course of this
That's
trial,
interesting.
the witnesses have been harassed.
That's not my question.
Objection.
But I'm answering your question.
Hold on. What's the
Strike
I'm
that.
going
What the
to-
hell?
sustain the objection? Next question.
Thank you. Were you phoning him? Were you meeting him? Were you texting him? That's my question. The circumstances of the communication itself.
Yo,
I phoned
strike
the
that
office
BS
asking
answer.
for a meeting, had a meeting, and then he left a voicemail at some point and texted me and said, I just left you a voicemail.
Okay. Was that the extent of your conversations with Mr. Morrissey, the elected DA?
I had one other meeting with other witnesses
Okay.
and the DA.
And turning to Yuri Buchanan, what were the logistics? I'll use that word instead of circumstances. What were the logistics of you contacting Yuri Buchanan? Was it by phone? Was it in-person meetings, text messages, or all of the above? All of the above.
All of the above.
How many times would you say that you've spoken with Yuri Buchanan?
Spoken or communicated?
Sorry, good point. Communicated with.
Probably 20.
Okay. When was the last time? Actually, let me ask you a different question. Have you ever met with Mr. Brennan before your testimony today?
Yes.
What was the circumstance of that meeting?
Going over my testimony from the last trial
Okay.
and sort of just asking questions on what might come this time. Would I be cross-examined? I wasn't last time. Just sort of, all the things went through my testimony.
Okay. When was that meeting?
I don't know, in the last couple of weeks. I don't know.
Okay. Where was the meeting?
At the DA's office.
Who else was there?
Different times that I would meet with him, Steve Nelson would be there. One time, Brian Tully was there. Mr. Brennan's assistant.
I'm sorry.
Mr. Brennan's assistant.
Okay.
I don't know. Adam Lally and Laura McLaughlin.
Were those meetings, you said there was 2 meetings? Or did I misunderstand you?
Yeah, I think there were 2.
Okay. Were those close in time to one another? You mentioned 2 weeks ago. Were those both 2
I
weeks
said a
ago?
few weeks ago, but the other meeting was just before I was going to testify.
Meaning, what, yesterday, the day before?
Last week.
Was that also at the DA's office?
Yes, it was.
Were you shown anything at that meeting?
Was I shown anything?
Videos, testimony, transcripts,
No.
reports?
No.
Nothing?
I don't think so.
Okay.
We went over my testimony on the screen. And then I just talked about my testimony from the last time.
Okay. When you say you went over your testimony on screen, what do you mean?
We watched my testimony from the first trial on a TV screen.
Okay, so you were shown something. You were shown a video of your prior testimony.
Yes.
So
Yo,
I
dang, they were up there watching film. They had her in here. All right, so you see on this play, you need to make sure that you just move a little bit that way. Run out the middle, you'll be wide open.
to
That's
see counsel
crazy.
sidebar for just a minute.
Oh no, not a sidebar. Oh, we got the sidebar. Lord, we're gonna skip through this because we got a little bit of a delay. That's wild. That's two, y'all. Two sidebars. I think we're gonna win. I think Team 5 is gonna win. They were watching. She was in the DA's office watching
Today
film.
on direct
That's
examination.
crazy.
Shown it.
Videos that you may have seen today. Anything else? Yeah.
Here we go.
May I, Your Honor?
Yes.
Thank you. Other than watching your testimony, were you shown anything else? Transcripts, videos that you may have seen today, dash cam videos, anything like that?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think I was shown anything.
Okay. Did you discuss other parts of your prior testimony?
Yes.
Okay. What was discussed concerning your prior testimony and how it would impact how you testified today on direct examination?
Mr. Brennan had just asked me, can you just tell me what happened? So I told him the story verbally.
Okay. Anything come up about specific instances of how you were going to testify today
No,
or yesterday?
no.
Okay. I want to talk to you a little bit, Ms. Roberts, about the video that you were shown by Mr. Brennan. It's the dash cam video of Officer Seraph. I'm not sure if you know which officer that is.
No, I don't.
It's the one that you've been watching.
Okay.
That dash cam that shows your car in the foreground.
Yep.
I'd like to ask you a couple of quick questions about your memory of that incident and then perhaps show you the video depending upon what the answer is.
Sure.
Do you remember when the officer first arrived, you and Miss Reed specifically were at Mr. O'Keefe's body?
Yes.
Where was Miss McCabe at that moment?
She was there too, but she was waving down the first responders because it was dark out and he couldn't see us. He had a spotlight.
You and Miss Reed were both providing some level of CPR, some level of life-saving efforts.
Yes, as was Miss McCabe.
What was Miss McCabe doing?
When I was doing chest compressions and Karen was doing mouth-to-mouth, Jen was either on the phone with 911 or handing me baby blankets.
Okay.
At some point, she did take over doing chest compressions because I asked her to.
Okay. So Miss Reed was focused on Mr. O'Keefe's head, face area.
Correct.
You were focused on the chest.
Correct.
Miss McCabe was, at some point at least, she had called 911 or dialed 911.
Yes.
When Miss McCabe dialed 911 and was on the phone with 911, isn't it true that she was actually in a vehicle at the time?
That is not true.
She was outside?
She was outside.
That's your memory?
Yes.
Okay. Have you heard the 911 tape of that call?
Yes.
Okay. You're aware that that tape was also captured by an open line on Miss Reed's phone?
Yes.
That open line that phone was dropped inside the cab of an SUV?
It was in the back seat, I believe.
Right. So in order for that for that open line to capture sort of the background of Miss McCabe's side of the 911 call, Miss
Yep.
McCabe would have had to have been either at or in the cab of the truck?
The back of the SUV was open. She was standing there.
Got it. Okay, so she was right next to or adjacent to the cab of the SUV.
She was in back of it with the back was up.
I see that back hatch.
Yes.
Okay. Do you remember Miss Reed's statement, her initial statement to Officer Seraph when he got out of his patrol
I do
car?
not.
Do you remember her saying something to the effect of, "My boyfriend, I left him, he never came home"?
I do not.
Okay. Have you listened with audio to that dash cam at the moment that Officer Seraph arrives at the scene and y'all flag him down?
We just watched it.
Right. Have you listened to it for the audio side? I mean, in other words, instead of focusing on the
no.
video.
No.
Okay. I'd like to ask you to do that with the court's permission. This is it's been previously marked as Exhibit 4. And with the court's permission, I'd like to play that from runtime about 3:50 and ask the witness to concentrate most readily at about 4:07, maybe
Okay.
10 seconds into it. I'm going to give a little run up and then ask you to listen very
Okay.
closely to the audio.
Yep.
Oh,
Court's
okay.
permission?
Yes.
Okay, Evan.
Let's see if we can hear it.
Stop. Do you recognize the video as being the same video that you saw and you looked at on direct examination?
Yes.
Okay. In just a quick second, the door to the car, you're going to hear it open. I'd like to ask you to pay special attention to the audio portion and Miss Reed's voice,
Okay.
if you can hear it.
I'm
Go
listening.
ahead.
What happened?
Stop. Did you hear that last statement?
No.
Did you hear a woman's voice kind of faint in the background?
I heard a voice, but I didn't make out
Yeah,
what
I can't
she
hear
was saying.
anything.
Okay.
I just heard what happened.
Did it
And then-
sound like she said, "My boyfriend, I dropped him off and he never came home"?
Objection.
It doesn't sound like anything.
That, Ms.
Next.
Roberts?
No.
Okay.
Next question.
Come on, Mr. Jackson. That ain't it.
That's all I have for the video. We can take that down.
That's not the one.
You talked about, on direct examination, some of the injuries that you saw Mr. O'Keefe having suffered, both what you observed at the scene and then what you observed later at the hospital.
Yep.
And you noted those injuries, correct?
Say it again?
You noted those injuries. Those were
Yes.
You made note of those,
Yes.
or at least some of them. You said that you saw a hematoma of some sort over his right eye. Is that right?
Correct.
And there was some significant swelling to his right eye
Correct.
at the scene.
Correct.
Did you also notice a laceration just above his right eye, just under the eyebrow?
I saw it at the hospital, but I don't know if at the scene I saw it.
Fair
Just
enough.
saw.
At some
Saw
point,
it.
you saw that laceration to his right eye.
Yes, I did.
Did you also see a laceration to the left side of his nose, a smaller laceration to the left side of his nose?
I don't recall. I know there was blood coming from here, but I don't know if it was coming from inside his nose or from a laceration. I don't know.
When you
Dang.
said here, you're pointing to the left side of your nostril.
Yes.
And basically just above the nostril, correct?
Yes, right around the nostril, there was blood coming this way.
Okay. Draining to the left side of his cheek?
Yes.
Okay. You also saw, once you got to the hospital, that his left eye had swollen as well.
Now, both eyes were swollen and filled with what looked like blood.
And his left eye was black as well as his right eye.
Correct.
Okay. You also indicated that you saw, well, actually, I don't know if you did or not, so I don't want to put words in your mouth. I apologize. Did you see his right arm?
I did.
Did it appear to you that he had some abrasions or lacerations, parallel abrasions and lacerations and punctures on his right arm?
They were scratches.
Scratches.
This whole thing is weird.
Ms. Roberts, you've previously testified that when you arrived, let me take you back instead of jumping right into it. After you met up with Ms. Reed at Jen McCabe's house that morning, So this is just after 5 o'clock or so. The three of you arrive back at One Meadows, correct? Is that right? I'm sorry.
Correct.
Okay. You're trailing the Lexus SUV, correct?
Correct.
The Lexus pulls in to the driveway, and you pull in directly behind Miss Reed, and Jennifer McCabe is driving.
Correct.
You're driving your SUV, correct?
Correct.
You've previously testified that when you arrived at One Meadows at that moment, that once that SUV, the Lexus SUV, had pulled in and you pulled in behind the Lexus, you got out of the Lexus, sorry, you got out of your SUV, they got out of the Lexus, and that's a point at which Karen showed you the back of her taillight and said something to the effect of, do you think I hit him? Do you think I hit him? Oh my God, do you think I hit him? Do you recall that?
No.
I recall saying I didn't know if it was when we were coming or going, but she did point out the taillight.
Okay. When you
There goes a fire truck again.
previously testified under oath, your quote was, quote, Karen pulls in and I pull in behind her.
Mr. Jackson.
This is crazy.
Give page and line numbers when
Yes.
offering statements.
Sure. It's the SGJ, the grand jury, page 58, lines 14 through 19 for court and counsel.
Thank you.
Did you testify, quote, Karen pulls in and I pull in behind her, period. When we get out, and Karen is now showing us the back of the car saying, my taillight, do you think I hit him? Do you think I hit him? Oh my God, do you guys think I hit him? Question mark. End quote. Is that
Yes.
how you testified?
May I see it?
Sure.
She would have hit him really hard. Peter said he got beat up by the SUV. Peter.
I apologize, I've already got it up here.
Does it have a date on it, Mr. Jackson?
It does.
Action Jackson. I like whoever came up with that. Good job. I like that.
4/26/22. May I approach?
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Do you have the pages after this?
I'm sure I
Don't
do.
worry. Don't worry about it.
Because in the pages after this, I say,
My question, Ms. Roberts, is that a quote that I just said? Is that accurate? Do you see it in the?
yes, it is.
Okay.
Good job.
May I approach?
Be a good witness now. Just answer the questions. Oh, my guy Dennis Byron's in the building. What's up, Dennis? Shout out to Dennis up in here. Dennis, why aren't you a moderator? What is going on here? Y'all show some love to Dennis Byron in the chat,
May I
man. One of the
approach?
best in the
Yes.
business.
Thank you. Just for reference, I'm going to show you both pages. That's the page I asked you to look at, and then the following page as well. Please take your time.
Okay.
Y'all make sure you go subscribe to his channel too. Doing great, Dennis. Same to you, man.
May
What
I?
I'm looking for is still not here, because I did say I wasn't sure if it was
Yes.
before or after.
Hey, relax, lady. You are not the lawyer here. Answer the questions
When
and
you
move on.
gave this
Dang.
testimony, you were in front of a grand jury, correct?
I'm not sure which one that is.
Do you remember testifying in front of a grand jury on April 26th, 2022?
Yes.
Okay, about 2 years ago.
Yes.
Sorry, 3 years ago. You were under oath at the time. Is that right?
Yes.
Things were fresher in your mind at that time than they are now, 3.5 years later, I'm guessing. Correct?
Yes.
Okay. You were asked the question, to describe the circumstance when you arrived at One Meadows. Is that right?
Yes.
And the answer that you gave was, quote, we pulled into it's a driveway, there's 2 cars, and then 2 cars, and then a single, so John's car is there. Karen pulls in, and I pull in behind her. When we get out, and Karen is now showing us the back of the back of the car, saying, my taillight, do you think I hit him? Do you think I hit him? Oh my God, do you guys think I hit him? That was your testimony at the time, correct?
Yes.
Now, after watching the film, she changed it up.
And just to be clear, I'd like to take a look at a quick video that you may or may not have seen before. We'll find out. Your Honor, I'd like to have this. Actually, this has already been previously marked as Exhibit 12C, as in Charlie.
Okay.
And it's a short clip. So I'll play the entire clip with the court's permission.
Okay.
Let's go ahead and take a look at that video. Can you pause? Do you recognize what's depicted in the video?
Yeah, that's when we arrived at John's house.
Okay. And who's the person with the plaid red pants?
That is Jen.
And who's the person that's just rounding the back of the car in front?
That is Karen.
What is the car in front?
That's Karen's
Jen, this is
SUV.
Karen.
That's the Lexus SUV.
Yes, it is.
Behind that Lexus SUV, Ms. Roberts, is there another car?
That's my car.
And who's getting out of that car?
I am.
Okay. And this is the point that you were describing in your, at least in the grand jury testimony at that time.
Yes.
This is the time that you're describing.
That I thought it was when we walked in.
This is the time that you were describing, right? When you arrive at the scene.
Yes.
Or, sorry, arrive at One Meadows.
Yes.
Okay. Let's go ahead and play this through.
There's Karen.
Okay, you can stop it. And you can bring the lights up. You saw the interaction between all 3 of you and the vehicles, correct?
Yep.
At any point, did anybody stop and take a look at the taillight or the rear end of the car?
Not when we were entering the house like I thought, but when we came out.
Okay.
So she misremembered.
And there's no video of that.
I'm sorry?
There's no video of that.
No, I don't believe so.
Right. So the video that does exist describes nearly exactly the time that you testified that y'all stopped at the back of the taillight and Karen said, look, my taillight's broken. Oh my God, do you think I hit him?
Correct.
Right? Okay. And that obviously was incorrect.
It was incorrect.
So your memory was faulty about that incident, that part of that incident at least.
It happened on the way out of the house.
So your memory was faulty about that part of the incident that you testified to at the grand jury.
Yes.
Okay. You were interviewed on January 29th. You've already testified to that, correct? By
Yes.
Troopers Dunn and my memory's failing me now.
There were 2. I don't know who they were.
Okay. I'm sure it's in my notes somewhere. 2 individuals that interviewed you on January 29th, correct?
Yes.
Obviously, things were very, very fresh in your mind at that point.
Yes, but I believe I was in shock. So,
She says she
The
don't
incident
recall.
had just happened.
yes.
Okay. And you were asked to recount certain of the specifics about the incident that you had just experienced, not days or weeks, but just hours before, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And you did your best, I'm sure, Ms. Roberts, to be as full-throated as possible, to
As full what?
provide them with as much detailed information as you could and to be as honest as you could.
Yes.
I mean, you weren't going to lie to these police officers, right?
No.
In your very first conversation with those 2 troopers on January 29th, you didn't mention anything about a taillight or a cracked taillight, or
No,
even
I
having
did not.
seen a cracked taillight, did you?
No, I did not.
Okay.
I
You
didn't
then-
want to accuse anybody of anything.
You were then interviewed on February 1st, 2022, a few days later, correct?
I don't know.
Does that
I
sound
don't know
right?
the exact date. I was interviewed again, but I don't know the exact date.
Okay. During your interview let me withdraw that and ask a different question. On February 1st, or whatever day it was, the subsequent time that you were interviewed just a few days later, you did then, for the first time, describe the taillight that you saw, correct?
I don't know.
He
Would it
said
refresh your
full throat.
recollection if you looked at a report?
Yes, please.
Yeah, man. He said he did say full throated. That's a first. Definitely a first. But hey, maybe it was a compliment.
If I may have just a moment, Your Honor.
Sure.
Come on, Mr. Jackson, you got it.
May I approach?
Yes.
I'm handing you a 2-page report, Ms. Roberts. I put a little dot on the second page just to direct your attention to the discussion related to the taillight, if you want to take a look at that.
Okay.
Okay. May I?
Yes.
Does that refresh your recollection that you were interviewed on February 1st, 2022 by a trooper by the name of Connor Keefe and a trooper by the name of Kathleen Prince?
Yes. Did
Man,
Connor
this-
Keefe write that report?
I'm sorry?
Did Connor Keefe write that report?
Trooper Kathleen.
Why is he letting the witness ask questions? Man, and I'll be like, girl, if you don't shut up.
That report?
I'm sorry?
Did Connor Keefe write that report?
Trooper Kathleen Prince wrote the report.
Okay.
Does that matter?
Stop letting this
No?
chick ask questions.
Okay.
Shut up.
Does that refresh your recollection that you did discuss the taillight at that time?
Yes.
And did you tell Trooper Prince and Trooper Keefe that you noticed the back right taillight in the middle, quote, in the middle, your words, was broken and a piece of the metal encasement was pushed forward?
Yes.
Okay. You didn't say that the taillight was completely shattered, correct?
Correct.
You didn't say that the entire lens was missing, correct?
Correct.
You said it was broken in the middle. Is that
Yes.
right? And then you described today that a square piece was missing.
Yes. That's the piece I was referring to in the
Okay.
middle.
Just in the middle of the taillight, though. That was how you described it.
Yes.
Okay. I'd like to shift gears for a quick second and talk about a March 7th, 2023 text message with victim witness advocate Steve Nelson. Do you remember communicating? You don't have to know the exact date, but if you do, fine. Do you remember communicating in March of 2023 with victim witness advocate Steve Nelson about the Ring camera at One Meadows?
I don't know the exact date, but yes.
Okay. Is it true that you contacted him to inform him that the O'Keefes needed to replace or wanted to replace the driveway Ring camera, that same Ring camera that we just literally saw through that perspective
Yes.
of you arriving?
Yes.
Did Mr. Nelson indicate that he believed that would be fine to replace that Ring camera if the O'Keefes wished to do that?
I don't remember if he said it would be fine, but at some point they were told they could replace it. It had broken. It wasn't working.
Did he indicate that he would check with DDA Adam
here we
Lally,
go again.
and then get back to you?
I don't know.
At some point,
She don't recall.
you were informed that the O'Keefes had the green light or the go-ahead to replace that Ring camera at One Meadows. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
I still can't get over that.
And then ultimately, you then relayed that to the O'Keefes that they had the green light. You've talked to somebody at the DA's office, and they said, "Yeah, go ahead and replace the camera." Correct?
Yes.
Okay. Did you ever receive any kind of response from the DA's office, either before or after you relayed this information to the O'Keefes, to say, "Wait, hold on, we need to do a
She don't
reconstruction. We need to make sure that the camera is in the exact same spot that it was at the time of the incident"?
No.
Any communication like that?
No.
So the communication that you got was, "Yep, go ahead and replace it. It's no big deal."
Correct.
Okay. And ultimately, you learned that the O'Keefes did, in fact, replace that Ring camera.
Correct.
You have already described your relationship, at least in part, with Canton Police Officer Sergeant Michael Lank, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, she knows what's about to happen
He is
now.
friends with you.
His daughter is friends with my daughter.
You're friendly with the family.
Yes.
Okay. And you're aware that he's also friends with the Albert family.
No. Well, no.
Were you aware that Michael Lank grew up with Chris Albert?
I was not.
Have you ever been in a social setting with both the Lanks and the Alberts?
No.
You're aware, obviously, you were at the scene. He was the first officer to respond to the crime scene at 34 Fairview on January 29th after Officer Seraph and after Mulaney arrived. Right? Then it was Sergeant Lank.
That's interesting that
I
they've
don't
been
know
friends
which
for
order. I
that
did
long
see
and she
Sergeant
didn't know
Lank
it.
there, yes.
Was he the, excuse me a second.
Interesting.
I was just reminded, you indicated that you don't remember the date of that text communication between yourself and
Give me one
and
second.
Mr. Nelson.
No, I don't remember the date.
Would it refresh your recollection if you looked at a text message between the two of you about the subject of the Ring camera?
Sure.
Okay.
Do I need to know the date?
May I approach? I need to know the date.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Thanks.
Is it March 7th, 2023?
Does that refresh your recollection?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Rob. You indicated that you did recognize Sergeant Lank at the scene.
Yes, I did.
You had a conversation with him.
No. I said, Mike, is that you? He said yes, and that was it.
All right. Following that, the next day, you did go to his house. You've already described that.
I did.
You indicated that you went to his house to drop off your daughter for a play date. Is that right?
Yes.
But
When
you
she
also
was 13.
indicated that you took Jennifer McCabe with you.
Yes, because I drove Jen McCabe to the O'Keefe's house, so she was leaving to go home with me. So I was
So-
going to drop her off.
Okay, so your memory is you took Miss McCabe from where over to the Lanks house?
I think she was at home.
So you picked her up
Yes.
at her house
Yes.
with anybody else?
With my daughter, my son. I picked up her and either one or two of her daughters, I don't remember.
And then you drove over to the Lanks house, is that right?
No, I drove to the O'Keefe's house.
First.
Yes.
And what did you do with the O'Keefe's
Then
house?
left a couple of kids, and my daughter wanted to go to the Lanks house, so I drove my daughter to the Lanks house before driving home.
And Jen's child was with you on the way from Jen's house over to the O'Keefe's house.
Yes, one or two daughters, I don't know,
Dropped the one or two kids off at the O'Keefe's, is that right?
as well as my son.
As well as your son. Then you went to drop off your daughter for the play date.
Well, she was 13, so it wasn't a play date.
Whatever, I don't know what you call
I know,
it.
I know.
I don't have a 13-year-old. What a date, whatever
Yeah.
it is.
So she went over to her friend's house, yes.
Okay. But you took Jennifer McCabe with you
Yes, because I was driving her home.
back to her house.
Whatever.
without her kids?
I don't have those problems, so whatever
Yes,
you
she
call
was
it.
going home.
That's crazy.
Were you going to go back to the O'Keefe's and pick up her kids and then take all of them home?
She said whatever.
I didn't have a plan. I mean, Patrick,
Okay.
nephew, is my son's best friend.
Got it.
So he wanted to be with him.
Okay.
That's insane.
Did you, I think you just answered this, but I want to make sure I'm clear about it. You didn't take separate cars. You all went in the same car. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. Did anybody stop by or go by 34 Fairview during that roundabout?
No,
Nobody stopped off at 34 Fairview either on the way or on the way back?
no. I don't believe so. That wouldn't be the route in which to get to my house.
Right, exactly. You indicated that you stayed, even though you were dropping off your daughter, y'all stayed, you and Miss McCabe stayed at Sergeant Lank's house for some 45 minutes. Does that sound about right?
Yeah.
And Sergeant Lank's wife, you indicated, was in the back seat of your car?
Yes.
Did y'all ever go inside the house?
Jen went in to go to the bathroom.
Was Sergeant Lank there?
I don't know. I didn't go in.
You didn't have any communications with Sergeant Lank?
I'm sorry?
You didn't have any communications with Sergeant Lank himself, Mike Lank, on that trip?
No, I did not.
But you don't know whether or not Jen did?
I don't know whether or not Jen did. She went in the house to go to the bathroom.
Okay. You've indicated that there have been occurrences in which Jennifer McCabe has asked you to contact the DA's office on her behalf to ask a question here or there, get some information, correct?
To Steve Nelson, yes.
Okay. How many times, just a number of times, the volume, would you say that Ms. McCabe has asked you to reach out to the DA's office in one particular or another on her behalf?
I don't think very many.
What does that mean? Of the 50 times that you've had
No,
communications?
maybe like 4, not many, to my knowledge.
When you would, on these 4 occasions or 4 or so occasions, when you would reach out to the DA's office, gather information, whatever that information may be, would you then report that information back to Ms. McCabe?
Yes.
You obviously understand the importance of providing statements to law enforcement that are free of influence of other people, other witnesses. Is that right?
Say it again?
You understand the importance of providing information to law enforcement as a witness to law enforcement free of influence from other people.
Yeah.
In other words, you want to be as accurate and as independent as possible.
Yes.
And that's because if your statement is somehow, or if your communications with law enforcement are somehow influenced by others, it might call into question the credibility of the person providing the statement.
Objection.
Can you answer that question, Ms. Roberts?
No.
Okay, next question.
Sure. A statement that's been colored
Worth a
by
shot.
influence from someone else would lack credibility, right?
Objection.
Sustained.
She's not an attorney. Alan,
I
come
want to talk
on,
about
brother.
the statements in the prior testimony that you have provided in this case, Ms. Roberts. There's been several of them. The first time you told your story to law enforcement was on January 29th. We've already established that, correct?
Say that again?
It was on January 29th, the first time you relayed your story to law enforcement.
Yes.
And that was to Trooper Dunn and Trooper DeChico. That's the name I couldn't remember.
I don't remember.
But you do remember Trooper Dunn.
I remember 2 troopers. I don't know their name.
Okay. Where did that interview take place?
In my dining room.
And who was with you when you gave that interview, if anybody?
My husband was home. I think my daughter was home at that point. My husband was home. I don't know if the kids were home.
Nobody else from outside the family?
No.
Okay. Who contacted you about doing that interview? How did they know to come to you at your home?
I don't remember. They may have just shown up. I don't remember.
Okay. Do you remember what time the interview was?
Maybe around dinner time, maybe around 5, 6.
Was it recorded?
I'm sorry?
Was it recorded in any way? Tape
I don't-
recorder running?
I don't think so.
The troopers were taking notes, obviously.
I believe so.
During your conversation with, and I'm jumping around a bit, so I apologize. During your conversation or conversations with Mr. Brennan and the DA's members of the DA's office in preparation for your testimony, were any of those interviews recorded?
No.
Was anybody taking notes?
No.
No, none of the DAs were actually taking notes, the ADAs?
I didn't look around the table to see if anyone was taking notes, but I didn't see them taking notes.
No pads and pens on the table?
Interesting.
There was a lot of stuff on the table, but I didn't see anybody taking notes.
Okay.
All right, move on, Alan. Come on, you're losing us. You're losing the jury, brother.
You received a phone call.
What is he on
just before
about?
that interview started at 5:25 p.m., correct?
Around 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. Is this the night of the 29th, you mean?
This is the night of, I'm jumping back to the night of the 29th.
Yeah, I'm not following you very well.
That's okay. On the 29th,
Yeah.
when you were interviewed around
I
5:25
feel that.
p.m., maybe just a little bit before that,
Yeah.
you received a phone call just before that, correct?
I do not know.
Isn't it true that Jen McCabe called you and spoke to you just before that?
I spoke to Jen McCabe the entire day.
Okay. Including just before that interview.
I don't know.
Did you tell Jen McCabe that you were about to be interviewed?
No.
Did you tell her at some point did you text her and tell her that the officers had arrived?
I don't think so.
Did she text you back and say, call me right after?
I don't know.
Okay.
Interesting. All
During
right,
the
now
course
we're
of that
getting into
interview,
it.
when the incident was still pretty fresh in your mind, you indicated that at about 5 a.m. you got a call from Karen Reed indicating that John never came home and that she was worried, correct?
Correct.
You also indicated that she was worried that John may be walking and may have gotten hit by a plow. You relayed that to the officers.
Yes.
You indicated that you met up with Karen Reed and Jennifer McCabe at Jennifer McCabe's house, and Karen was hysterical and worried that something had happened to John.
Yes.
You also indicated that once you were at 34 Fairview, once you all had made your way over to 34 Fairview, Karen saw John and ran to him, although you and Jennifer didn't see him initially, correct?
That's correct.
You said that Karen was repeating the phrase, is he dead, over and over. Is that right?
That is correct.
You also indicated that she said that if anything happened to John, she'd kill herself, correct?
That's what she said to me.
Object.
So
What?
the objection sustained.
How is that
Did you
sustained?
indicate at any time?
It's the
I'm
objection
sorry,
hearsay?
let me ask it a different way. Did
I don't know.
either of the troopers indicate to you after your initial interview that if there was anything further that you could recall that would be useful, please provide it? Please give it to at that time.
I don't know.
Okay. Would it refresh your recollection to look at that January 29th report?
Sure. Thank you.
On the second page of that report, January 29th. And there, I put a little mark by paragraph 5. You could take a look at that.
I'm not seeing the hearsay there. Dennis is saying it's hearsay. I don't know. She's saying what
During this
Karen told her.
interview with Trooper Dunn and Trooper DeChico, they indicated after you gave your statement that if you wish to provide anything additional, now is the time to do it.
Objection.
Sustained.
Were you informed that you were limited on time in that interview? Meaning, we got to get this done, we're leaving, we're out of time.
No.
They didn't cut you off, correct?
No.
They didn't tell you that they had a limited amount of information that they wanted and then they were just going to leave, correct?
Yeah, I don't know how that's hearsay.
I don't recall.
As a matter of fact, they told you that anything you wanted to provide to them, provide it. Give them as much detail as you could, correct?
I don't recall.
You just read the last statement that these troopers indicated, correct? If there's anything further she could recall that would be useful, please provide that information.
Object.
Sustained.
Your Honor, may we approach?
Yes.
That was a bad question. All right, Alan. I mean, hey, I see where you're going, but boy, someone hand that man a Red Bull. What is going on here? It's like we pick up some speed and then we pick up some speed and then she's not being a difficult witness.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yes.
We'll let it go.
Having looked at the
No,
report,
no. Bring it to her and show it to her again.
she's just, it's the same thing that I just showed her. Having looked at the report, does that refresh your recollection about what Trooper Dunn and DeChico told you at the end of the interview?
I don't recall. It's not refreshing. I'm not remembering it. Even reading it, I'm not remembering it.
I see. Okay, fair enough. So as you sit here, the details about what you told or what those two officers told you are not.
Well, that's the
fresh in your
third
mind,
sidebar. You're right.
Nothing's refreshing your
We're up
recollection.
to
about
3.
Right.
that. Okay, but you do remember the basics of what I just described in that conversation with those two troopers.
Yes, that's the sidebar.
I
It
mean,
counts.
they asked me what happened. I told them, but I was also in shock.
You never said during the course of that interview that my client called you at 5 o'clock in the morning, just hours earlier, and said he's dead, and then hung up. Correct?
That's what she
No,
said.
I don't believe I said it at that point. It did not.
What?
I did not remember that until a couple of days later.
I see. And in fact, when you were asked about that particular statement, when you asked about that particular series of events, that never came to your mind.
No.
That literally, the first words out of Karen Reed's mouth, according to you now, is he's dead, and then hung up.
Correct.
When you heard that, you didn't take that to mean that she killed him.
No.
Of course not. She was panicked, correct?
Yes.
You did add that.
Not approach the witness,
I'm sorry.
approach the
One
bench.
other thing that you didn't add in your initial statement to Trooper Dunn and Trooper DeChico is anything about the taillight either, correct?
Not.
Okay. And you also didn't say anything
Who's that over there whispering?
about any sort of a Google search or the praying that you talked about in the back of the patrol car, anything like that.
No.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't remember.
She don't recall.
The second time you were interviewed, that was the February 1st interview. That was with Kathleen Prince and Connor Keefe, correct? And you just looked at that report, at least part of that report. Is that right?
Yes, it's the
Say it
same
again?
attorney.
Connor Keefe and Kathleen Prince, that was on February 1st, 3 days after your initial statement, correct?
I don't remember the date, but I remember meeting with them.
Okay. I want to make sure I get the dates down, so I'm sorry to belabor this, but. May I approach?
Yes.
Would it refresh your recollection if you were looking at the report of that interview?
It might.
Okay. First paragraph.
Thanks. Am I reading the whole thing or just the part where you dotted?
Just if it refreshes your recollection
Oh.
of the dates.
Oh, for the date, yes.
May I approach?
Yes.
What date was it that you met with me?
February 1st.
That second interview was conducted at 12 Country Lane, correct?
Yes.
And who again lives at 12 Country Lane?
Jennifer McCabe.
So the second time you told your memory, your story to law enforcement, you were literally sitting in Jennifer McCabe's house.
Yes.
And you had met with Jennifer McCabe before your interview, correct?
Yes. We were putting a timeline together.
So you two were actually prepping, if that's a valid term, prepping for your interview, putting a timeline together, correct?
We were putting a timeline together at the request of Mrs. O'Keefe.
And Jennifer McCabe, was helping you with the timeline, and you were helping.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Hold on. They met together to get a timeline together? Huh?
helping her with the timeline.
Yes, we were putting together the events of what had happened.
So she was helping you, and you were helping her, yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. So both of you were assisting in each other's memories, correct?
Yes.
I remember this, and you remember this, and okay, now I remember this, correct?
Yep.
Obviously, that would help influence your memory, going
Yes.
over the event with someone.
This is
Someone else,
wild.
right?
Are you serious?
So what's on that timeline, you would agree, is not completely independent, your memory. It's a combination of your memory and Jennifer McCabe's memory. Isn't that right?
Yes.
May I have just a moment, Your Honor?
Yes.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy. They got what? Yo, they got together and got their story straight. Oh no. They said they were gonna get Karen. Watch this.
Thank
We're
you,
gonna
Honor.
get her now. Wow.
So the two of you drew out some sort of a timeline for you to follow during the course of that interview. Is that right?
For me to follow what?
During the course of that February 1st interview, as you were interviewed in Ms. McCabe's house. I mean, that was the purpose of the timeline, to help you with that interview.
No, that wasn't the purpose of the timeline.
You used it for that purpose, though, obviously.
We did not. I was at Jen's house making a timeline, and the two officers showed up to interview her. I just happened to be there.
Right. And when they interviewed you, did you have that timeline in front of you? That's my question.
No, I did not.
Okay. But you had just created it along with Jennifer McCabe.
Some of it.
Okay.
That's insane.
And then it was after that that this timeline was coordinated between the two of you, that you actually told your second story to Trooper Prince. And when I say second story, I mean the second time you were interviewed on February 1st as opposed to January 29th. Is that right?
Yes.
That's crazy, man.
Did you ever become aware of text messages that Jennifer McCabe was sending to others in a group chat talking about you in that interview?
No.
You were never told or became aware that she sent text messages to a group as she listened in on your interview?
No. I don't think she could listen in. She wasn't anywhere near me.
You weren't aware that or are you aware as you sit here that she sent a text message that said she's telling them everything, all the stuff?
Sustained.
Have you ever been provided a text message or told about a text message that perhaps Jennifer McCabe was sending to a group?
No.
Listening to your suggesting that she was listening to your
Nah,
interview?
Peter, I can't let you have
No.
this one. Two people getting together to get their story straight. It's never a good look. And they're saying, we just wanted to get our story straight.
The third time you told your story was later that night in a telephonic interview. Is that right?
I'm not going to let you have this
Trooper
one,
Proctor?
Peter.
I requested to speak to Trooper Proctor because I had remembered the very first time I spoke with Karen that morning, and I wanted to make sure it was recorded.
Okay, that wasn't my question. My question was, did you have another telephonic conversation with Trooper Proctor, yes or no?
You said that night, but it wasn't that night.
When was it?
I think it was earlier that day.
Okay. But it was after the interview with Trooper Prince.
I don't think so.
Think it was beforehand?
I think it was beforehand.
You were still with Jennifer McCabe when that call took place, correct?
I was in her house. I was not with her. I stepped away to speak to him by myself.
In her home at 12 Country Lane.
Correct.
Interesting.
Who else was with you other than Jennifer McCabe in the house?
Her sister was there writing down the timeline for
Who's
us.
that?
Her sister, Denise.
Denise? So she was scribing the timeline as you and Jennifer McCabe were creating it?
She was writing it down as we were remembering things.
Right. And the three of you were doing this together, sort of communally.
Yes.
She would say something, then you would say something, then it would spark something that she would say.
Plotting
back
and
forth,
scheming,
correct?
as TLA would say.
How is it that Trooper
This
Proctor
is
got a hold of
crazy.
you? Did you call him or did he call you?
I think he was on the phone with Jen, and I asked to speak to him.
So Trooper Proctor got a hold of you through talking to Jen McCabe.
Well, I asked to speak to him, but yes,
Right.
This is crazy.
Was that interview recorded, to your knowledge?
I don't know.
The fourth time you met with police was February 2nd, the very next day, at about 12:08 p.m. Is that right?
I don't remember.
Do you remember
She don't
signing
recall.
a consent form for your phone?
Yes,
Was that the next day after this interview with Trooper Prince and Trooper?
I don't know
Keith?
what day it was. It was right after Karen was arraigned for the first time. Jen and I met with them and both handed our phones over willingly.
So you just answered my question. So when you met with police, whatever the date was, it was a few days later, you met with police. You had a fourth time, you were still in the presence of Jennifer McCabe when you met with police.
Yes,
And handed your phone over, is that right?
Interesting.
She handed her phone over, is that right?
yes,
And the two of you were together when you signed your consent forms, is that right?
yes.
Very interesting indeed.
The fifth time you told your story was in front of a grand jury, is that right?
I don't know.
Do you remember testifying in front of a grand jury?
I do.
Let's
Come
talk
on,
about
lady.
that for a second. Before you testified at that grand jury, just physically, you were brought into an anteroom where you waited to be called by ADA Adam Lally, correct?
Yes.
Who was in that anteroom with you just before you gave your testimony?
My husband and Jen and Matt McCabe.
So Jennifer McCabe was with you yet again just before you gave
Yeah.
official testimony under oath concerning this case and concerning the incident.
Correct.
Oh, I don't know. I haven't seen much of this, and I didn't watch the previous trial, obviously. But Miss McCabe is about to get up there and go in on Alan Jackson. I have a feeling it's not going to be a good witness. She's going to be
Ms.
very
Roberts, when was the
difficult.
last time you've spoken to Jennifer
They're setting the whole
McCabe
thing
before
up. This
you
is crazy.
testified in this trial?
Insane.
In this morning.
Did you discuss your testimony?
No.
So you and Miss McCabe, who became friends
Correct.
because of this incident,
Correct.
talked as recently as this morning before your testimony.
Correct.
And your testimony now is that you did not discuss anything about what you're doing here
No,
or what you're
I
going to
did
testify
not. She
to.
called to wish me good luck today.
When did you talk to her the last time before this? Before this
Kerry.
morning?
I don't know, maybe a couple of days ago. I don't remember.
Within days of you taking the stand yesterday, correct?
Yes.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
Did you ever... May I have just one minute?
Yes.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh
Roberts,
boy.
I'm going to ask you,
This is wild.
to take a look at, actually, let me ask it a different way. Did you say that you did or did not recall texting with Jen McCabe during the course of that January 29th interview with state police? Do you recall that or no?
No.
Okay.
During the interview, I didn't text anybody.
Okay. Are you saying you didn't text anybody or you don't recall? Whether
I don't
you-
recall. I don't think I had I wouldn't be texting somebody if I was being interviewed by the state police.
They did not like Karen.
Okay,
Come on
would it
now.
refresh your recollection to take a look at a report of text messages?
Sure.
May I approach you?
Yes.
Yeah, we don't even have to ask if they like Karen. They clearly did not like Karen.
Thank you.
So, may I, Your Honor?
Yes.
Take a look. There's two tabs. Take a look at the tabs and the data across the two tabs, if you don't mind.
Okay.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm in no rush. So, may I?
Yes.
Take this back?
Crazy.
Well, sports information, Mr. Brennan,
Okay. Jurors, feel free to stand up and stretch if you'd like. And I forgot to tell you, anytime we're at sidebar, please feel free to stand up and stretch.
Ah, it's another sidebar. It's another sidebar.
That was quicker than we thought, Judge. May I
Okay.
proceed?
Yes.
Okay.
It still counts. That's still 4.
Did you take a look at this document?
We're gonna win.
Does that refresh your recollection that there were 2 text messages at around the time of your interview with those 2 troopers?
No.
Do you recall, as you sit here, texting Miss McCabe that the state troopers were arriving or they're just getting there?
No.
Do you recall?
It does 2 count, Nosy Rosie. Stop it.
No.
Okay. Did you, in fact, different question, did you, in fact, call Miss McCabe right after the interview?
I think Team 5's gonna win.
I don't know.
No, after lunch, you know Bev's gonna speed things up. So we only have maybe a couple hours after lunch. We're gonna win. We got this, Team 5.
Have you ever testified that at the scene, Miss Reed was seated in the back of a patrol car along with Jennifer McCabe, and you were standing just outside the car, and there was an interaction among the 3 of you?
Yes.
Have you ever testified, or have you ever stated in any particular, that during that interaction, Karen asked the 3 of you to pray?
Yes.
Have you ever said or testified that during that interaction where you're seated, where they are seated in the back of the patrol car and Ms. Reed asked you to pray, that Ms. Reed said to Jennifer McCabe, Google hypothermia?
No.
You've never said that.
I've never said that.
Interesting.
You testified at the grand jury on April 26th. Is that right? April 26th, 2022?
I do not
got that
know.
Right? Does that sound right? April 26th, 2022?
I have no idea.
Late April 2022, does that sound right?
I don't know.
She
It was
don't recall.
2022.
You testified under oath, correct?
She
Yes.
don't recall,
So
Alan.
the same oath that you swore here.
Yes.
To tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, but penalty of perjury. Is that right?
Yeah.
She said she don't recall.
Yeah, that's what I needed.
I don't know. I am kind of worried though. Team 10 might have us. We might have 10 sidebars. Sidebars, excuse me. I'm losing my
Your
accent.
testimony that you have never said that Karen told Jen to Google hypothermia, or that you don't recall saying that.
I don't recall saying that.
Would it refresh your recollection to look at portion of your grand jury testimony from that day?
It might.
May I approach?
Yes.
Thank you.
Sure. And if you can read on to page 83 as well.
Yep. I testified. I didn't hear it, but I was told that she was asked to Google it.
All right, come on, Kerry, now. This is important. You got to be on point here.
You testified under oath at the grand jury that at some point Karen was in back of the police cruiser, correct?
Yep.
Objection.
What? So,
No, I'll allow that
overruled.
question.
What the heck? What's the objection?
Does that refresh your recollection as to what you told the grand jury?
Yes.
And isn't it true that at some point during the course of your testimony under oath, you said that Karen was in the back of the police cruiser?
Yes.
And then you went on to describe that Karen and Jen and I were standing outside, and she made us all start holding hands and starting to pray.
Yes.
I mean, the she being Karen Reed, correct?
Yes.
And at this point, they had lifted John up and taken him onto the gurney, correct? That's
I don't
what you
know.
described.
I don't recall.
You don't
Do this
recall.
again, just so we're clear. May I approach?
Yes.
Sure. Thank you. Just a portion of the bottom of the page.
At the bottom?
At the bottom, last couple of paragraphs.
Okay. Yep. I say I think, so I'm not
I have
positive.
another question for you.
Okay.
Does that refresh your recollection?
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, she does have selective memory. That's true.
And you testified basically that you think, at least that's what you were telling the grand jurors, that you
Yep.
think that was the point at which they lifted John up
Yes.
and moved him into the ambulance, correct? Is that right?
Yes.
And then you were asked a question, what, if anything, did she, Miss Reed, ask Miss McCabe while they were sitting in the back of the cruiser that you heard, correct?
Objection.
Do you recall that?
I did not hear the question about Google being asked.
That's not my question. May I ask? May I inquire?
Just repeat that question.
Sure. Isn't it true that you were next asked by Mr. Lally in front of the grand jury, quote, what, if anything, did she, Miss Reed, ask Miss McCabe while they were sitting in the back of the cruiser that you heard, end quote. Do you remember being asked that question?
No.
Well, you were.
May I approach? Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Take a look at lines 16 through 18.
What you mean?
Okay.
May I?
Yes.
Does that refresh your recollection? That was the question that you were asked?
Yes.
Okay. And in response to that question, you stated, quote, at one point she asked her to Google hypothermia and how long Google hypothermia. Correct? Mm-hmm. I'm sorry?
Yes.
She's pissed. It's all right, Kerry. Just answer the question. No, they did not like this lady. They really think
That was very
she
detailed.
killed
You
him.
agree that that's a very detailed and specific recount of an event. You recounted where you were, back of a cruiser, or they were in the back of a cruiser, correct?
Yep.
You recorded or reported the time. It was right around the time that you thought they were lifting John up and scooped him up onto the gurney, correct?
Yep. I thought it was about that time. I wasn't sure.
Location,
I'm sorry, I didn't get that answer. You were talking over each other.
that's my mistake.
What was your answer, Ms.
I
Roberts?
thought it was about the time they lifted him up, but I wasn't sure.
You were very detailed about who was there. It was you. It was Jen. It was my client, Karen
Yes.
Reed, correct? Is that right?
Yes.
You're so detailed that you talked about where you were standing next to the cruiser open door, correct?
Yes,
What the others were doing, holding hands and praying, is that right?
yes,
And the actual words used. You were as detailed about all of that as the actual words used. She asked her to Google hypothermia and how long, and then you stopped, Google hypothermia, end quote, correct?
correct.
You will agree, at least for that purpose, you painted a very, very detailed picture in front of the grand jury, didn't you?
Yeah,
Except it's not true, is it?
I did not hear her ask that. I was told she was asked that. In
The
the,
answer to my question, Ms. Roberts, and I'm not a trick question, what you told the grand jurors
Come on, Kerry.
was not true. You never heard her, my client, ask anyone to Google anything, did you?
I did not.
And yet, that's
Oh.
what you testified to under oath, under penalty of perjury, in front of the grand jury, didn't you?
I did.
And the reason you did that, the reason that you said that false statement, was because someone told you to say it, correct?
Object.
Is that, I'm going to let her answer that.
Nobody told me to say it.
Kerry, why'd you
I
lie,
knew it
Kerry?
happened at that time,
How did you
which
know
is
it
why I
happened?
said it.
How did you know it happened?
Why'd
Ms.
you
Roberts,
lie,
if
Kerry?
No one told you it
She a lie.
Because we wrote a
That's what I'm talking
timeline.
to
We
you.
already spoke about
So
that.
the timeline that Jennifer McCabe helped you with, that influenced your testimony in front of the grand jury, correct? Obviously.
It,
Oh, they
I
should
was telling
object.
what happened in the back of the cruiser.
The timeline
can answer.
you wrote.
So when you ask a question, let her answer, okay?
Oh my, Kerry, why?
Jennifer
Why,
McCabe
Kerry, why?
influenced your testimony to testify in front of the grand jurors to a statement that you never heard, correct?
Yes.
Oh my. Kerry, what happened? I didn't say
You were
you,
later
Siri. I
asked
said
about that
Kerry.
statement.
You're good. Thanks. Siri thinks I'm talking to
Another
her.
investigation, I'm sorry, by another investigator or set of investigators, correct?
I don't know.
Were you interviewed by a different law enforcement agency, a separate law enforcement agency from the Massachusetts State Police at any time?
Yes.
And you were told that to lie to those agents would be a crime, correct?
Yes.
Punishable by prison, correct?
I was not told that.
They asked you whether or not you heard Karen Reed ever say anything to Jennifer McCabe about Googling anything.
Man, he's trying to get
correct?
her locked up. You
I
know the
don't know.
DA's not going to charge her.
Isn't it true that you told them what you've just now told us, which is, I did not hear Karen Reed ask Jennifer McCabe to conduct any Google searches?
I don't recall.
Would it refresh your recollection to look at a copy of that interview and that report?
Sure.
And he's got Kerry's back against the wall. Peter, hey Peter, sometimes I'm with you, but Kerry, she's got to hold the L on this one. This is embarrassing. Why'd you lie, Kerry? Why? No, the DA will not charge her. Oh, this system is something else. This legal system is something else.
I'm going to ask you to take a look at the
She said,
entire
yeah, I lied.
document. Familiarize
Sorry.
yourself with it if you don't mind. Go to the front page and don't answer anything about the document until I ask you a question, if you don't mind, please.
Sure.
Thank you.
No, not please. You don't gotta be nice.
Ms. Roberts, do you recognize that as being a report of an interview that you conducted?
Sounds like Mama O'Keefe was trying
I've
to
never
get rid
seen
of her.
this before, but
Understood. Yeah, you may never have seen it, but does it remind you that that's
Yes.
a report of a conversation you had with another law
Yes.
enforcement agency? I'm going to ask you to turn to page 7 that report?
He said, "Oh, you committed perjury, huh? You know you can be locked up for that?" She said, "Wait a minute. They didn't tell me that."
And if you look, there's a small
not what they said.
paragraph
They said
about
I'd be
2
fine.
paragraphs up from the bottom. I think I may have put a little blue dot by it, but I'm not sure. Please read that to yourself.
Correct.
Done?
Yep.
Thank you. May I approach?
Yes.
Ms. Roberts, does that refresh your recollection about what you told these investigators?
Yes.
And what you told them was you, quote, did not hear Karen Reed ask Jennifer McCabe to conduct any Google
That is
search.
correct.
And you went on to say you saw McCabe on her phone.
What?
allow
Overruled.
it.
Get out of here.
You saw McCabe on her phone, but you did not hear Karen ask Jennifer to Google anything.
Correct.
So what you told the grand jurors was in fact
A lie.
false.
I misunderstood Mr. Lally's question.
Got it.
Wow.
Mr. Brennan, any questions?
Thank you. Thank you.
She misunderstood the question. Y'all buying that?
When you spoke to the grand jury about your memory, were you trying to fool them in any way?
No.
Were you trying to
Watch the form of your questions.
mislead them in any way?
Objection.
Come on,
Sustain.
man.
Watch the form of your questions.
Come on, man. You can't
When
do
you
that.
spoke to the grand jury, were you honest?
Yes.
No. She was not.
When you
She
were
just
asked
said
the
she was.
question, what, if anything, did the defendant
Oh my gosh.
ask Ms. McCabe?
How is she honest and she just said she
Begin
lied?
your response by saying, at one point,
You can show her her response.
Oh God.
may I approach?
Yes.
Page 83, line 19.
That was a bad question.
Can I ask you to look at page 83, line 19? Just read it to yourself and the lines that follow. You done? When you were asked that question
Why,
by
Kerry?
Mr. Lally at the grand jury, did you ever say you specifically, personally heard that statement?
I'll allow that.
Did you
No,
ever
I
tell
did
the
not.
grand jury you actually heard that statement being made?
I did not.
And when you spoke to the people in that report that you looked at on page 7, did you ever tell them you specifically heard that statement being made?
No.
Were you consistent in both of those statements?
Objection.
Sustained.
Did you say anything different as
No.
far as what you personally observed between those statements?
Objection.
I'll allow that.
No.
And when you were asked
Yes, she did.
about what the defendant may have said to Ms. McCabe or Mrs. McCabe, did you generalize your answer?
Objection.
Sustained.
Did you begin your answer with
These
"at
questions
one
are
point"?
terrible.
Yes.
When you chose the words "at one point," what were you trying to convey to the grand jury?
I'll allow that.
Come
didn't know
on.
at
This
what
is
time
BS. What kind of question is
done.
that?
Was that a topic of conversation around the time you were brought to the grand jury?
Around the time what?
That you were brought to the grand jury to testify? This Google search.
Was it? I don't know.
Okay. Were you asked here in front of this jury whether or not you personally heard that statement?
Yes.
By me. Did I ask you that question?
No.
Did you personally hear that statement?
No.
After this happened, you discussed what had happened with people, didn't you?
I'm sorry, say it again?
After you found John lying in the snow, did you discuss what had happened, what you saw with other people?
Yes, of
Did
course.
anybody tell you that you couldn't discuss this trauma that you had been through?
Objection.
I'm going to allow that.
Say it again?
Did anybody tell you that you couldn't discuss what you had just seen
No. Did I say it again? I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
After you found John that morning, did anybody, civilian or law enforcement, ever tell you
Law.
you weren't allowed to discuss
Lore.
what you had just went through?
No.
Did anybody ever tell you that you couldn't have support of other people?
No.
I'll allow that.
No.
Was this a traumatic
What point
event?
is he trying to make?
Yes.
Have you spoken to it about, to a number of people about it?
Yes.
Tell us why you would want to speak to somebody about what happened that morning.
I'm going to allow that.
I've spoken to many people, obviously, that we all grew up with. But Jen in particular, I do speak to her. I am friends with her. We went through a really traumatic experience together.
Did you ever confide in other people other than Jen McCabe about what you endured that morning?
Yes, many people.
Why?
Because it helps me get through, and it's whether John's family, friends, whoever, I've talked to a number of people about it.
You're friends with John's parents?
Parents?
John's parents, the O'Keefes?
Yes.
You still friends with them?
Yes.
Do you ever discuss what happened?
Yes.
You were asked by law enforcement if they could have your telephone?
Yes.
Was there a warrant?
Sustained. Ask it differently.
Did you feel like you had any obligation, legal obligation, to give your phone to law enforcement?
I'll allow it.
No,
What's the
they asked
objection?
for my phone. I handed it over willingly.
Did you think you had to?
No, but there was no reason not to.
When they went through your phone, do you know whether they saw all of your phone calls that were on that phone?
Do you know that?
I don't know. They cloned my phone, so I assume they saw everything.
I'm going to strike that answer. So the answer is I don't know.
What type of information did you have on your phone when you voluntarily gave it?
I'll allow that.
Text messages, phone
Oh,
calls, call
I can't
logs,
believe she's allowing
pictures.
these questions.
You said that you stayed friendly and still are friendly with Peggy O'Keefe and John Sr.?
Yes.
Okay. At some point, at times, do you try to help them with things?
Daily.
Do you try to help them with the children?
Sustained.
Well, you were asked about
relevance.
contacting the district attorney's office about replacing a Ring camera.
Yes.
Whose Ring camera was that?
It was at One Meadows where Mr. and Mrs. O'Keefe, John's parents, are now living.
What motivated you to call the district attorney's office about the Ring camera?
Because we knew the ring might be some sort of evidence that they didn't want to take the camera that was not working down without permission.
Do you have a Ring camera?
I do.
Do you know if there's a difference between the actual physical camera and the iCloud storage that keeps the actual video on it?
I don't know the difference.
Okay. Did you ever ask to replace any hard drives or storage, or were you asking to replace the camera itself?
Just the camera.
And that was in March 7, 2023?
I don't know when.
You were asked questions about what the defendant said that morning when you were trying to help Mr. O'Keefe.
Yes.
You were asked whether you heard any comments about her, from her, about dropping John off.
Say that one more time.
You were asked whether you heard any comments about her saying she dropped him off.
In the car on the way to the hospital.
Okay.
She said it to Mrs. O'Keefe.
When you were outside trying to help John, were you ever told where the defendant dropped John off?
No.
Were you ever told where he was left?
No.
Was it ever suggested that he went into 34 Fairview?
No.
Was it ever suggested that he went into any house whatsoever that morning?
No,
Were you ever asked to go into the house to look for him?
no,
When you were being when you were being interviewed by law enforcement, did you ever refuse to be interviewed?
no.
Were the interviews all the same or different?
They were all different. They were all different.
Were you ever asked to give a complete review and detail of everything that you knew?
I was just asked to tell me the story of what happened that morning.
And at some point when you were interviewed, you were asked about the phone calls that the defendant made to you that morning at 5 o'clock.
Yes,
When you received those phone calls, Jennifer McCabe was not on the line, was she?
no,
Was she a party to the calls?
no,
Did she influence your memory in any way about the words that the defendant spoke to you that morning?
I'll allow that.
no,
Do you have a clear memory of what the defendant said to you on the morning of January 29th, 2022, at around 5 in the morning when she first called you?
yes.
Is it your independent memory?
I'm saying.
Is it
sorry.
your independent memory?
Yes,
How well do you remember it?
Sustained.
Tell us what you remember her saying to you.
I'll allow it.
when she first called, she said, "John's dead, Kerry, Kerry," and hung up.
And she called you back.
She called back.
When she called back, was there any other party on the line other than you and her?
No,
What do you remember the second time that she called you?
yes. She said, "John, I think he got hit by a plow. He did not come home last night. He would never not have come home. I wasn't supposed to stay in Canton, and Kaylee was here. He would never leave Kaylee by herself."
Did anybody ever ask you to lie
No,
or exaggerate?
no.
Would you?
Say that?
Would you?
No,
Sustained.
You were asked whether or not you told people on January 29th about the missing pieces to the defendant's taillight. And you began to say you didn't tell anybody that morning.
I didn't think it had anything to do with John. I didn't want to point fingers at anybody
Why not?
because I had no idea what had happened to him. I wasn't going to point fingers at his girlfriend.
Was it in
Really?
fact broken with missing pieces that morning?
Yes,
You saw the ring video of you and Miss McCabe and the defendant going into John's house?
yes,
Had you seen that video before today?
yes,
Had you been shown it before in
Yes.
other proceedings?
yes.
When you went into the house with Miss McCabe and the defendant, did you do anything before you went into the house, actually in the house?
When
you
I
take
took
any-
off, we took off our shoes and
You took off your shoes?
Jen and I both took off our boots
Why did you take off your boots?
because you had to take off your shoes to go into John's house.
Well, you say you had to. Explain to us a little bit of the background on that.
John was a neat freak. You were not allowed to wear shoes in the house.
Had you ever worn shoes in his house?
Oh,
Had you ever seen anybody wear shoes in his house?
no,
You and
they
Miss
do
McCabe?
now. They do now.
I see. You and Miss McCabe took
disrespectful.
your shoes off?
Yes,
Did the defendant take her shoes off?
she did not.
How do you remember that?
Because Jen and I were standing there for about a good 2 minutes trying to get our boots off, and she had already gone in the house.
Do you know why you were called that morning?
No,
Did you volunteer to be part of this
yes,
after the call?
yes,
You had said you thought that you looked at the taillight before you went into John's house.
yes,
Do you remember actually seeing the tail light that morning?
I do.
Was it simply cracked?
No.
Do you know that the portion of the Ring video from when you came out of the house with the defendant, Ms. McCabe, do you know that that portion is missing?
Objection.
Sustained.
Have you ever seen any Ring video depicting when the defendant was showing you her missing pieces of taillight that morning?
No.
Despite no video, are you certain that you saw it?
Say it again.
Are you certain that you looked at it with the defendant that morning in that driveway?
Objection.
Sustained.
I'd like to play clip 3, please.
Okay.
Objection. Reapproach.
Okay.
Quiet, folks. Still on the record.
Not looking good, Team 5. It's not looking good. Not looking great. Yeah, there it goes. Yeah, Slim Life said it. That's side by number 3. We're gonna skip it. This is definitely number 4 or number 5. It's number 5. We might be out of it, Team 5. Team 10 might have us on this one. Side by off the record. I can't do it. I know, Lone Wolf. I know. It's sidebar number 5. Dang.
All right, go
side
ahead,
by.
Mr. Brennan.
When you first got to John and you were trying to save him that morning, do you have a distinct memory of it?
Yes.
Counsel had asked you if it was your
Okay, yeah.
story. Was this a story?
Number 5. Or number 4.
Say it again.
Was it a story that you told?
A story?
Yes.
It's what happened.
Do you wish it was just a story?
Objection.
Sustained.
There's no further questions.
Okay, so recross.
You just asked. Just a few minutes ago. Did you ever say that you actually heard that statement about that Google search? And you said no.
Correct.
The question that was posed to you by Mr. Lally was, what, if anything,
What?
did she, Miss Reed, ask Miss McCabe while they were sitting in the back of the cruiser that you heard?
Right.
Correct?
I misunderstood the
And
question.
you misunderstood that question?
Yes.
What
I
did you
did.
misunderstand about that question?
I didn't know it was that you heard, so I was explaining what happened in the back of the car.
I see. So you just ignored the part, literally, the part of the question where he said, what did you hear her say? That's what
I
your
think the word
testimony
was
is now?
heard, and I didn't hear it. I obviously got the question wrong because I did not hear anybody ask about a Google search.
Well, I know that's what you're saying now. I get that. But when you were asked, what, if anything, did she ask Miss McCabe while they were sitting in the back of the cruiser that you heard, your immediate answer was, at one point, she asked her to Google hypothermia and how long dash Google hypothermia, end quote. Correct?
Here we
Correct.
go.
That was your answer,
Yes.
correct?
To a question I misunderstood.
And that was a false statement, wasn't it?
Technically.
Technically?
Yes.
It's like being a little
Technically.
bit pregnant, Ms. Roberts.
Okay, so remember, jurors, I said earlier, comments of counsel are not evidence and you're to disregard them. Ask a question.
Oh, she
Thank
says
you,
that
Robert.
now.
What do
All
you
right.
mean technically?
Technically, I was under oath, and I did not hear Karen asked Jen to Google it.
And yet under oath,
But I
you-
knew it happened at that
and
time.
yet under oath you said you did.
Correct.
And that was a lie, correct?
Objection.
Was that a lie? Did you lie?
I did not intentionally.
But you did.
And,
Not intentionally.
okay, that's the end of
Understood
this.
the question. Mr.
No,
Jackson.
no, don't shut it down, Bill. Come on. Ah, we gotta rewind this. Why? Why is she saving her? Come on now. Oh God.
And that was a lie, correct?
Objection.
Was that a lie? Did you lie?
I did not intentionally.
But you did.
And,
Not intentionally.
okay, that's the end of
Understood
this.
the question, Mr. Jackson.
All right, is there any other question, or is that it?
I didn't hear what she just said.
I said I misunderstood the question, Mr. Jackson.
Ooh,
That's what you're saying now, correct?
feisty.
That's what happened.
All right,
Can I ask one more question?
okay.
In that quote, you said
Dang.
at one point she asked her to Google hypothermia and how long. Then you corrected yourself and finished with Google hypothermia. What did you mean by how long? What were you about to say?
I don't recall.
Had someone told you something about a phrase that started with how long?
She about to shut it
don't
down.
recall.
Smoke break.
I don't recall.
Like, for instance, how long to die in cold?
I don't recall.
Okay. All right, Ms. McKay, I'm sorry, Ms. Roberts, you are all set.
Thank you.
Wait, what'd she say?
What did he say?
She said, all right, Miss McCabe. Look at her. She's flattered. She's like, oh, thank you, Judge. I wish. God dang. All right, y'all give it up to Kerry. Kerry. Why'd you lie, Kerry? All right, let's go ahead and give some grades on this one. What do y'all give? She called her Miss McCabe. Yo, what grade do y'all give that witness? Just overall, what grade do y'all give her real quick?